Ready to go.
You okay?
Yeah, fine.
Hi Vincent, seen you for the first time since the Ipswich Town tie. Now you've had time to look back at it. What are your thoughts on the result, the replay and the next round draw?
Oh, it feels like a long time ago. I expected a lot of questions, not about Ipswich anymore. Only thing I know is we're going back into the same neck of the woods. So it's a journey. It's logistically a little bit different than other games we play. Just looking ahead, Norwich now, and it's a big game for us.
Yeah, the transfer window's closed. How do you feel the month has gone?
I think you always find out a little bit later, but in terms of the goals we had during the transfer window, we've not had to make any compromises. We have the players that we wanted to bring in, and we hope they can help us for the last run of games.
Yeah, it's a busy schedule in February, isn't it? 7 games in 21 days. The new faces will help with that.
Yeah, and potentially more. So obviously, with all the respect to the games we have to play, there's 90 minutes before we can hopefully get into a further round in the FA Cup as well. But although it's still 50-50, let's put it this way, the potential is there for a lot more games, and there couldn't have been a better moment to have a few new additions to the squad.
Norwich City, it was 1-0 to Burnley at Turf Moor back in October. What do you remember about that game?
That we played extremely well. It was one of our better games of the season, and but it's a new manager, it's a new situation. They have a little bit of momentum. We go away from home, so I don't know. Other than facing the same players, I think there's a lot of things that have changed since.
You'd expect Norwich to be there or thereabouts in May in the promotion fight?
Yeah, I mean, at the start of the season, it wasn't for me. It was at least I couldn't tell you who was going to be there at the end or who was going to be, the top or at the bottom of the league. But I think now it's pretty clear. I think the teams who are now competing for the playoff places, they're the teams with strong squads as well, and you wouldn't expect them to drop too many points other than if they're facing direct opponents. So it's a tough league, but these teams are amongst the strongest in that league.
What do you make of them since David Wagner's arrival?
Norwich has always been a positive footballing side. Very, very dangerous in the final third. Lots of combinations. I think they had that before. And they've got that little bit of intensity on top of it that you always get anyway, but obviously with the playing style of the manager, it's a good team with good players, and for us it's one of the toughest games we can face in the division. But I found myself repeating this quite a lot because there are no easy games. After that it'd be Luton and Millwall away, and there'll be a story about that, and it's constant in it.
Vincent, thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Vincent, good afternoon. Before we talk football, can I just talk about the accolade that you've received today? You've been nominated on this black list of football and of figures who've had a huge influence on the game in Britain. I presume you've heard about it, and I just wonder what your reaction was to being on the list.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult one because it's such a heavy subject. I mean, I suppose the key point from my side is if you can inspire kids from any type of disadvantaged communities to do well, to make them believe that they can achieve whatever they set out to, whatever their dreams are, then I hope it can be an example in that way. And then there's a bigger picture in which and then I mentioned it before, I think that you have to have a true reflection of your society within any kind of organization in the country, and that helps them to create a much more fairer starting point for everybody growing up. It's ultimately it's about that. And anyway, so I suppose many years ago this wouldn't have been possible, and now it is. So we're making steps. and we just need to keep making steps.
Are we making steps quickly enough, would you say?
It's never quick enough because you can't say, why would you tell a generation to wait for 20 years? You know, these kids growing up now, they've got, you know, every right to have access to the same opportunities as anybody that's born in this country. And, you know, saying, let's wait another generation, you know, it doesn't make sense for them. So I think as quickly as possible is I think the term we should employ. But it's undoubted. I mean, it would have been different for my father, for example, and so hopefully we can keep making progress.
In terms of the football, and in terms of your season at the moment, going ever so well, huge point gaps starting to emerge now in the table. How are you keeping everybody's feet on the ground? Because young Nathan Teller's just admitted that promotion is just starting to creep into his head.
Yeah, well, I'll have to have to do something about that, because it's definitely the opposite from what we say every day.
But they're only human, aren't they? I mean, when they look at the league table, they've got to start dreaming, haven't they?
Yeah, I know, but it doesn't matter. I think if you want to become winners, then you can't look at it in this way. I try and look at it as I said it before, but I try and look at it as a cycle. It's one season, and for many, it starts and finishes with the beginning and the end of a season. For me, it's a cycle, and the cycle is 3, 4, 5 years of development, of trying to get better, and trying to climb up the ladder, which is not necessarily just a league, go from Championship to Premier League. It's more, can we beat anyone that's above us? And just to do that, you've got to get better constantly, every day. And that's how I kind of take it away from points, take it away from just results on any given day. Just progress and focus on that, keeping the standards high.
And a lot of talk of record points totals. I know Reading got 106, I think it was, a few years ago. None of that comes into your thinking?
Irrelevant to me. I really can make the difference. And the negative, the flip side of it is that I've been lucky to win many things in my career, but you don't really enjoy it as much as other people, maybe, because you're already on to the next one. But the real point of this is that I believe that you know, we can't go to Norwich, lose, and then all of a sudden we start looking at points again. You know, you go, you do your best, you win, you lose, it doesn't matter. Next day you have a chance to debrief the game, learn, improve. We have a lot of young players in the squad. With every day that goes by, they get better. And we can't, with the amount of games we have this month, we can't get involved in any sort of emotional roller coaster. Absolutely not.
And in terms of that cycle that you mentioned, are the signings that you've made in this window, are they with an eye on not just this season, but beyond?
Yeah, very much so.
And how would you assess your squad now?
No, I think, look, we haven't, the core of the squad, the players who have done it so far are all still with us. I say we've increased the competition for places for sure, but my experience again with it is that if we channel it in the right way, that only makes us the team, the individuals, stronger. That's how we intend to use it. And every player who's been here for a longer time, they've had 6 months of teaching of how we want them to play. So there's no pressure on the new guys to be doing anything for us extraordinary at the moment. We just want them to slot in and help the team in the right time.
And can I just ask you about Michael, who you brought in from Swansea,
Yeah.
amid a lot of reports of some really insensitive stuff on social media regarding racial abuse. What have you made of all that, and how have you helped him cope with that?
I mean, there's two sides of it. Like, the key part, the key point is one, that that it shouldn't happen. We can't allow it to happen as well, and we should have ways and means to sanction these type of events. And then there's a second part of not just teaching Michael as a black player and what he has to deal with, you know, but also just athletes in general, you know, making them understand what it is to have to live in this world of social media, and how people, you know, how anyone can be a target. And the main thing for me is that he stays in his bubble, in a positive bubble, that we make sure that we demand action, but on the other side that we don't let it distract us ever. I think it's a place where we are anyway. It's a place where I think we want to set an example of, working together towards something, and not having to look at anything else, not having to look at the bigger picture that we live in. We live in a world with so much dictated by, it's got to be black or white, it's got to be left or right, it's got to be up or down. I think for us the only way is success together, and holding each other accountable to the same set of rules, and living through it with our fans, with our community, with our owners, and all going in the same direction. And that in itself, if you do it for long enough, you grow closer to each other.
Do you, as his manager, have to make a conscious effort to help him along with that, or do you tend to think he'll be fine, he'll sort it himself?
Unfortunately, I think if you would have asked me at his age, I would have told you that I'm used to it. You're 22, you've already experienced that for quite some time, and usually you're already unfortunately used to it. So he'll know what to do, and he knows he's got 200% support from everyone. But like I said, I think the key part for him is he's in a place where he gets to be surrounded by people who want him to do well, and for every idiot out there's a lot more that want him to do well, who are with him, and that's the case for every single player in this team, who gets judged by the colour of the shirt and nothing else.
Thanks for your time. Good luck this weekend.
Hi, Vinny.
Hi there.
Nathan Teller was just discussing that subject with us, and sort of saying that Michael's got the character to sort of put it to one side and not let it affect him. How important is that sort of strong-mindedness in a player generally, and also specifically on this situation?
Like I said, I think it's crucial, but we can't go past the fact that it shouldn't happen, but I don't know in today's world how you protect people from this. At the moment it seems to be getting out of hand a little bit. But the key part is to remember how many people are there with you, for you, and to use the best tools and means we've got to progress with this, and it's to be successful, to do well, and to kind of bring more people on the type of journey we're on, which is the opposite of being divisive. And we're on a journey for me where we say anyone that wants to be a part of it, just jump on board, and it's fun and it's good, and you can leave all the sourness of this world aside a little bit, and you just jump on board with us, where we try and have fun, we try and be there for each other, and in tough times we try and back each other.
What can Michael bring to your squad on the pitch? Obviously, you know a lot about him.
An extra smile, and the profile, his speed he's been well coached for many years, so there's a huge advantage for him as well, and for us, to the fact that he's gonna probably assimilate a lot quicker. The only thing is, and he knows, I've been extremely honest with him. He's on his own pathway for now. We want to get him fit 100%. There's no rush, and like I said, we've got the long term in view with a lot of players, and now is better than in 6 months, but there's no rush. He just needs to get 100% fit, and then bring that smile to the team, and all will be well.
Yeah, he's not played, I don't think, since the World Cup break. So he's not had a great deal of football over the last 3 or 4 months. Obviously, he wasn't in favour at Swansea. There were some concerns amongst supporters at Swansea about his attitude and sort of how things ended there. I guess you've got no concerns about he's the right kind of personality and character to come into this Burnley side. And
yeah, I mean, I come from Brussels, right? And if you grow up in Brussels and you have a team in Brussels like Anderlecht, everybody comes with a personality and a bit of a flavour and a taste to it, and a bit of color. And I think for me the most important thing to check is, fundamentally, is the person a good person or a bad person? Can the person be told and coached and the person will accept it? So on that side, I'm not worried, and the rest of it, everybody has to have an opportunity to grow and improve, and in the end, we feel that we've done it in a way that is smart for us, for the club. There's a big upside and a little risk, so those are the type of commitments we can afford to make.
Just on the window in general, we touched on it there about sort of maybe the twin aims of bringing in players in January who could impact over the next 18, 20 games, and also putting you in a position whereby the summer doesn't perhaps have to be as hectic as it was last summer. Do you feel like you've pretty much accomplished what you wanted to set out to do there? Yeah,
the only reality is that we had something that needed to be done, because we lost Taylor for Howard Bellis for long-term injury. Hopefully he'll be back. Meanwhile, hopefully he'll be back way before the end of the season. So that's still what we expect. But we did have a gap to fill, and then I think the rest we could look at it for the long term. To answer your question, did we feel like we've done what we needed to do? Yes. But it's more a case of also getting the balance right for now. I mean, it's still, I think the way you have to look at it is, if these guys come in soon, well done. But if they come in even for the last push of 8 or 9 games, where they maybe understand it as well as everybody else does, what we are trying to do, then that's also a positive for this season. So not everything is just focusing on next season. But what I will do is just give, I won't force anyone in. They have to prove like everybody else.
How's Manuel Benson and Johan Berg Gudmundsson? Have they been able to train this week? Are they in contention for the weekend?
Yeah, good. I mean, there might be a case where you see our team on Saturday and you think there's a lot of injuries and a lot of people's missing. And then by the time we play Preston a week later, you might think they got a big squad and everybody's back. So we're in a bit of a period where we got a few people missing left and right with niggles, knocks, and a bit of illness here and there. And we have to manage it towards this weekend, so I can be completely honest about this. But, important for that big run of game, very soon we'll have a very, very competitive squad again.
You've given Johan a new contract this week. How sort of important was it to get that resolved sooner rather than later, and how much, I guess, does he deserve that with his recent performances since he's sort of got back to full fitness?
Yeah, I think Johan has been an outstanding player for many, many years, and there was always a question of keeping him fit, and I think for us it's always been a case of just having him long enough with us to see how long he could be fit for, and he's done terrific for us. So as soon as we had the opportunity, as soon as we had the opportunity, we had discussions and came to an agreement. So we're happy with that, and we do need to keep some senior guys involved, and Yoey has perfect attitude, and whether it's him or anybody else, we would be looking to keep people involved if we can.
Naturally leads on to my next question, which is about Ashley Barnes. I think he's now the only sort of senior player out of contract in the summer, which is a position that the club's not been in too often in recent seasons. We've tended to see quite a bit of turnover in the summer. But how does his sort of future look? Was there ever a time where you thought he might go in January?
No, we've not even entertained the discussions in January, and it was the assumption of a lot of people, but we haven't entertained the discussions. The main thing for me is he's been terrific for us. He's done extremely well. And the only thing we have to look at is just making sure that it just fits as well, in terms of there's no point in doing anything rushed if at the end of the day it's got to be good for everyone. So my main thing with that is Ash has been doing extremely well, but it's no different. I think we wanna make sure whatever he's doing for us, he keeps doing it, and then we'll have a conversation with him, no doubt. So absolutely no doubt about that.
I guess this, again, talking about assumptions, you've signed 2 new centre forwards, you've got Jay Rodriguez under contract. That people from the outside might look at it and think, is he going to get enough game time past this sort of summer?
I can't
for him
tell.
as well,
I can only tell you that there's a potential of 13 games in 45 days. So whoever starts on Saturday, I can tell you, but I can't tell you who starts at the end of those 45 days. It's what it is. All these assumptions were valid some months ago, and then everyone's ended up playing since, you know. So I'm not too worried. I think Ash will get game time. I think Gerard will get game time. I think the new guys will get game time when they're ready. That's more important for me, is when they're ready. And then we'll review all the pending discussions, you know, when the time is right, which we know very well which players we need to talk to. So that will happen, no doubt.
Great stuff. Thanks very much. All the best for the weekend.